y'all. My name is Jasmine Jones, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. And you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. This is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. How y'all doing? So today we are reviewing Rye Lane, and we are sipping on Gatorade and vodka. How y'all doing? Oh, I put the mic down. Y'all can still hear me. How y'all doing? So y'all, I feel like it's been like 2 weeks of them just loving on black women and showing us love in the movies and the TV shows and the things and stuff. Tiana Taylor's new movie came out. I forgot what it's called, but I'm gonna watch it, probably review it. And this lovely little show on Hulu came out, and it's like these two dark-skinned British black folks, and it's just this simple rom-com situation, y'all. It's just like I shouldn't be shocked, but I've never seen anything get close to this in like black rom-com situations. There's always some drama, there's always some trauma, there's always some kind of issue and stuff about based around being black and racism and fuckboyism and all sorts of stuff. But no, this is a simple, sweet, saccharine sweet. I think God is answering my prayers, y'all. Rom-com situation. And it's so beautiful. And the couple in it is so cute. So we got this girl. Her name is Yas. Of course, I'm going to say my name. I don't care. Her name is Yas. And she is just this chocolate, beautiful woman. And unambiguously black and magical. I'm about to gush over this shit, y'all. You don't see shit like this often, so I don't care. And like, then we have Dom. So Yas meets Dom. Dom is another dark-skinned black. He's a wonderful guy. Not necessarily my type looks-wise, but the personality is like, basically, this movie is what would have happened if them nerdy niggas in high school were going after the actual nerdy black girls instead of going after the girls that are like wanting to be popular and put on makeup and be city girls and all this other stuff. This is what would happen. You have fun. You would enjoy yourself because it's like two kids getting together because you all like the same things, anime, video games, having fun, doing stuff. But no, because niggas are the way they are. Instead, because the popular girls turned them down and they didn't want the nerdy girls, then all black women are trash. Okay. So I love this representation. I love his personality. It just feels like some shit I would fantasize about. Only the nigga would be like a little bit taller, a little bit more broader. I'm a big bitch. I don't give a fuck. He was the same height as her. Why can't I have a nigga that's at the very least the same height as me? You leave me alone. I'm 5'9". I don't care. So, other than that, he's not ugly. He's just like, let's get into it. He's not necessarily my type, but I loved his personality, and I wish that more men had personalities like that. So anyways, Yaz meets Dom in the bathroom. It's a co-ed bathroom, and he's sitting on the toilet crying because his ex dumped him and cheated on him with his best friend, and he's at his friend's like art gallery situation, and I guess he just had a breakdown and he had to go to the bathroom and just like, you know, release some of them emotions before he could go back outside and pretend like nothing was wrong. And Yas comes in and she sees these pink chucks underneath the door. And at first she just like uses the bathroom. She's talking to herself. I talk to myself. Vibes, girl. And like Dom hears her come in and he hears her talking to herself. And he's like, isn't this the men's room? And she was like, oh no, this is a co-ed. And he was like, oh, okay. So he's sitting there waiting for her to finish with her long stream of piss that you can hear very loudly. But he couldn't hold it in. He just starts crying again. So he starts crying again. She comes out. She notices, she hears him crying. And she asked him, she was like, are you okay? Can I, help you? He's just like, can I just have some privacy, some time to myself? So she gives him some space. He was just like, I just want to be alone. And this is private. And she was just like, well, I mean, like, you're kind of loud, so it's not really this bitch. I love her. I love because she reading bitches for Phil. She's witty. She knows. She's just on it. And so he comes out the bathroom, and his friends' pictures are fucking weird. Like one art showing he's showing like people's mouths in different shapes and stuff, and then the other art showing he's showing people's asses and this old wrinkly white. It was gross. Anything can be art. That doesn't mean everyone needs to enjoy it though. Like certain kinks. I try not to kink shame, but when it involves anything that has to do with like eating shit, cutting yourself, things that can cause bodily harm if you do it for long periods of time and things like that, are like slave and master play, like not like BDSM, but like you're pretending to be a slave from slavery times with your white partner. No, some things just need to be kept to yourself because it's triggering and traumatizing to other people when you talk about it. So, but anyways, so I try not to art shame, but there's just something like I mentioned in the last video, Run Sweetheart Run, where like it was just this woman had this art installation where she was pulling yarn out of her vagina and sewing things and sewing it into things, and I'm just like, so the whole place smells like your vagina, right? Ma'am, you are assaulting people. I mean, I guess if you pay for it, you know what you're getting yourself into, but do you really though? Because like, are you really expecting the whole art installation to smell like vagina? But I digress. I go on tangents. She comes out. They're looking at art, Dom is talking to his friend for a little bit about the art, and then like they're looking at art and then they're slowly just moving closer and closer together without seeing each other, and then she sees the pink chucks, and then she just walks over to him. He doesn't know that was her in the bathroom. She walks over to him and she goes, "Hey, are you doing okay? Are you okay?" He was like, yeah, I'm fine. What? So they standing there talking and stuff, and then his friend comes over and basically like pressures him into buying one of his art pieces, and then she tags along with it, and it's like they both pressure him to buy one of his art pieces, so he buys one of his art pieces. And then he leaves the art place because he has to meet his ex and her new dude, which is his best friend. I just and so he's walking to get there, and Yaz meets him, and then they just start walking together and talking and things like that, and they just have this whole vibe. Like they're funny, they're interested in each other. They seem like they just mesh. When you find your soulmate and you don't realize it's your soulmate yet, but y'all just got everything in common, and you just can vibe with no super major issues. So he's telling her where he's going, and he's telling her that he's going to meet with his ex and her new dude, and just to like hash things out and talk about what happened, because it's been 3 months or whatever since the breakup, and I guess they just kind of want to like, because he's been friends with this dude since high school, and the dude is kind of like dopey, so like I couldn't be mad at the dude. It was hard to be mad at him. He was just like a Homer Simpson. He was just this sweet dopey dear heart. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't say stuff. Just sit there and play with this toy. That's the type of person he was. And so he's telling her like what happened. And I love the scenes where they do like the little flashback to the memories, because it's just so like the pink and blue and purple coloring. I don't know why I love that combination, but it's so pretty on black skin, especially dark black skin. And I love it. It was so pretty. And so he's telling her how like he went to the movies and he was waiting for his girl to get to the movies. And he called her to see like, is she on her way? And she picking up the phone like half naked with her bra on and stuff. And he's just like, "Oh, are you on your way?" And she's like, "Oh yeah. I know how you like to watch the previews or whatever." And so she says she's on her way. And so he's holding popcorn and he fumbles his phone, and before she hangs up, he takes a screenshot on accident. And so he's looking at the screenshot and he sees a penis in the background. And apparently he recognizes said penis because they're best friends. I don't know what dudes do, in the bathroom when they go to the bathroom together, but apparently these niggas are singing songs and flipping their piss streams and stuff while they're singing. I don't know. they're friends, and friends do weird shit together sometimes. And so I was just like, okay, well, they friends. So so he recognizes the penis as his best friend's penis because he's seen his best friend's penis before while they were doing a duet in the bathroom, pissing into the urinal situations. And he just collapses. Everything is horrible. And then Yaz is like, so then what did you do next? And he was just like, I went in there and I bust the door down and I beat his ass. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. Did you actually do that? And he was like, nah. And then he showed that we go to like a scene where he's sitting in the movie theater and he's like crying to the movie. And it's so sweet how they make this man just show his emotions. He's such a sweet guy. He's so sweet. I just like, I just want to squeeze his little cheeks. He reminds me of like a cute little turtle. That's all he... I'm sure in real life, like, his personality may be a little bit more, I don't even want to say it's fem. He's just a really sweet guy. It's not even like a feminine or masculine thing. He's just a really nice guy. So maybe like, I don't know, maybe like more aggressive in your face. Like, I don't know, like, because I could see like a really big nigga acting like that, just being a really nice person. So I can only say that he's just a really nice person. And I wish more dudes were nice like him. Especially black men. And so anyways, she's like, oh, that sucks, man. Like, but like, shit happens. And so they're walking to the place and they like get to the place where he's supposed to meet his ex and his homeboy. And he's like, okay, well, it was nice meeting you and this is real life and I have to go in here and do this and figure this shit out. And she's just looking at him. She feels so bad for him. She doesn't want him to go in there by himself. And she's also like low key the whole day she's doing this. She's self-sabotaging because she likes spending time with him and she's using him as a distraction. She's self-sabotaging because she wants to be a costume designer and she has an interview to do it, but she's been to like 5 interviews, has 5 disappointments. So she's just kind of like, well, this is my excuse to not go to this interview and be disappointed again. And so like she doesn't want him to go because 1, she likes him, she thinks he's interesting and they vibe really well, and 2, she don't want to go to this interview and get rejected. She doesn't want to get rejected. So he goes into the little bar situation. Girlfriend is all over dude. Like, how you doing, Dom? What's been going on? Tell me about your life. Being low-key shady. Low-key just, And so Dom is just sitting there wondering, like, he's asking questions. He's like, so why did you do this to me? And da-da-da. And she's just like, people just grow apart and people just change. And I was like, I didn't change. And she was like, no, I did. And I'm just like, okay, girl. And so... Yes comes in, and bad bitch she is. I was just like, I hope she's an Aries. I'm an Aries. We should Aries it up together. I just felt the energy of it all, and it was magical. She came in and sit down, act like she was his girlfriend, right? And she was just running late, or someone just that he's just dating, right? Like not his girlfriend. And so she comes in and she's like, hey, babe, I was on the phone and the meeting ran a little late, but I'm here now. And then the girl just looking like, I'm like, why are you upset? You wanted his friend. Why are you looking at her like, Yes, clocking this bitch the whole time. The bitch, she know the bitch is trifling. So anyways, the girl is like, who's this? And Dom's just sitting there like, and then Yas is like, oh, we kind of are like having sex and stuff. We're just like, having fun and shit. So she's like the take charge one in this relationship, as you can see it developing. I mean, like, it's not a but every interaction that you have with somebody on a consistent basis is a kind of like a relationship that you have with them in some way or another. So it's kind of like a relationship. So she's like, oh, and then she makes up this fantastical story about how they met in karaoke and they was on the stage and they was vibing together and they was singing these rap songs and then the crowd was vibing. And then this nigga, I love it. He pick up on it and shit. He like, oh yeah, let me elaborate on the story though. It was like 100 motherfuckers in that bitch, and they was all cheering for us, and then we fell in love, and it was magical. I was like, yes, nigga, they are both vibes, because he could have been insecure and been like, oh, she's trying to make it seem like we're together and we're not, and I want my, and da-da. You know how niggas be when you like are, confident and, you stand out and you are just a standout amazing person and you're very confident and you don't seem to have many self-esteem issues on the outside, of course. But he's not. He's just like vibing with it. He love it, and like they vibing together. And then the girl want to ask. She was like, "Well, like I like you actually did karaoke because he seems like a shy person, so probably not something he did when he was with her. But she seems kind of controlling too. And when you're shy and you're with a controlling a person, it makes you not want to grow, like because like you're more focused on this person and making them happy, and they're trying to control everything you do, and so it makes you not want to grow. So he got away from her, and now he just doing imaginary shit that he ain't never done before, and I'm just like, yes, nigga. And so he was like, I guess I've grown and changed too. I know that's right. And so anyways, his friends start talking to Dopey One, and he's talking about how he got fired from his job. I don't know. I don't remember what his job was. All I remember is that he was saying something about a jar of piss in his locker, and he was pissing in it because he didn't want to walk all the way to the bathroom or some shit like that. And I was just like, and then they found out because it was a jar of piss and they could smell it, and he was like, oh no, it's apple juice. And his girl just sitting there the whole time like, why are you and he's like, because he used to work there with me and stuff, so I want to let him know that I got fired. I feel like she took advantage of his dopiness because he's just a dope, and I just was like, oh, dear heart, sweetness, what's going on? I don't know if he has a delay. I don't think it is. So, like I said a few videos before, I said like, some people are just dopey. Some people are just stupid. Like they just sweethearted, non-intellectual people. You know, they just the sweetest people. And, you know, I couldn't date one because if you have that energy to try to fix that deficit, then, go for it. Or if you're okay with it and don't see it as a deficit, go for it. But for me, like, I need a back and forth. I need some witty shit. We need to be going, like, we need to be having conversations. I need you to be getting it and shit. Like, nah, I can't, because then I'll be mean. And that man does not deserve to be told that he's stupid. Sweetest, dearest, hardest man with a jar of piss in his locker. Oh, yes, Lord. Yes, it's just looking. And then, yes, bitch, she read this bitch for filth. She was just like, are you joking? So you really broke up with this nigga over here that's an accountant and has a stable job, and if he wanted to, could have his own place. Like, he's an accountant. He could open his own business and do people's taxes. He could do anything with that shit. You left this nigga for this nigga over here with a jar of piss at work, that had a jar of piss in his locker at work. You left this nigga. And then the girl was just like, excuse me? Like, you just got, and then nigga over here is just like, he was like, that kind of hurt my feelings. But he's so lighthearted and happy. Like, he just kept going. Like, he just went past it. Like, you can't hurt his feelings. It's going to take a while to actually hurt his feelings for it to build up. He might leave her eventually because she seemed controlling and shit. I don't know. But anyways, she was just like, so let me get this straight. You left him for him. And she was just like, aren't you going to do anything? You didn't say anything to her dude. And her dude was just like, looking. And, the girl was just like, well, I'm trying to, make sure that everything is cleared out and everybody is living in their truth and da-da-da-da. And then Yas was just like, bad bitch she is. Was just like, yeah, you are living in your truth. You got scared because you saw this nice ass dude with a good ass job who was being vulnerable and opening up his heart to you, and you didn't know what to do with that because maybe you've never experienced that or trauma or whatever, and so you self-sabotaged and jumped ship to the closest thing there that had less than that, just so that you can stay on the roller coaster of trauma. And I mean, she didn't say it like that, but you know, basically the gist. And then the girl just sitting there just shook. And I'm just like, yes, girl, because we're living in our truths. And Jazz knows because she's been self-sabotaging all day. And she was self-sabotaging with her ex. And so, like you know what self-sabotaging looks like when you do it on a regular fucking basis, okay? Like, we know what you're doing, girl. Nobody want to be with this nigga. I mean, he got nice arms and shit. And I mean, like, his face is cute if he keeps his mouth shut and doesn't make any facial expressions, because his facial expressions look dopey, too. I don't care. He played this part well. And so, they leave. This nigga Dom is just like, you're iconic, you're amazing, I've been wanting to say that to her and I couldn't. What can I do for you to make up for the fact that you did that for me? Like, nigga is showing up and showing out for this bitch, and I love it. And she was just like, I mean, it was just like, I was just telling the truth. I was just like, you know, and he was just like, no, what can I do for you? And she was just like, well, let's just go get something to eat. You know, so they went to this sandwich place called Guac Actually, and Colin Firth is the sandwich man. And I was talking to a client earlier about this, and they were telling me that they did in this movie what rom-coms do to black people. They put these niggas in the background, these white people in the background as just like background characters. You know how rom-coms, they had these random white people, the guy that hands the couple the hot dog when they go buy a hot dog, the guy that is mopping the floor at the movie theaters, why they, you know, like, just like that. They did that to the white people. Like, there were so many scenes where there's these random white people in the back, like, saying stuff, but you were just like, are they gonna come forward? Are they a part of the movie? Like, no, bitch. Colin Firth was just the sandwich man. Like, he gave them it was a burrito. He gave them the burrito and they left. Like, this nigga is rom-com royalty and shit, nigga. And he said, I'm gonna show y'all that you are the fucking stars of the movie. And I'm gonna be back here. You know, I'm just going to do this little cameo because maybe he's producing it. Maybe they asked him. I don't know. But, like, it was a vibe. And then all through this movie, I guess Rye Lane is, like, a street or an area in England where there's a lot of black people. And so they're really illustrating, like, the streets and the stores in the area. Because when I first watched it, I was like, why do they keep, like, focusing so much on the streets and the stores and the places? Like, why are they zooming in on the names of stores and shit? And so that same client told me this morning, was like, oh yeah, because that's the area in England, and that, and I was just like, oh, so like I watched it again and I was like, oh, like, it's like you giving me like a little tour of this is amazing. So, like, people that live there know of it, been around it, grew up around it there or whatever. Like, you get, like, that's like basically what Issa Rae did in Insecure. Like, showing, like, Inglewood and Compton and Hawthorne and all the South Bay and Los Angeles and Hollywood, and just illustrating Southern California and from her point of view, that the places she grew up in and things like that. They doing this, and it was magical. Magical black people. Magical. So anyways, they get their little burrito situation from Colin Firth. And then they go and they just talking. They just eating and talking. He had a little issue with his burrito because he can't eat spicy food. And that's a vibe. Nigga, like, indigestion is a real thing. Like, you ain't never hurt from eating until, like, you've had that first piece of junk food that makes your stomach burn to the point where it feels like it's a volcano and lava is just climbing up your throat, and you're just like, and it's just staying there, and it just hurts, and you gotta take an antacid, and then you gotta carry around antacids and shit. Like, that shit, that was a vibe. I was just like, right, like, why, like, he needs to know how hot this shit is. Like, and they just looking at him because they think he being picky and shit. Like, no, nigga, when you have, like, a sickness, a chronic illness, a thing, like, you can't just be like, or maybe he just thought it, like, he just don't like hot, it's too hot for him. I don't know, but it's like, don't do that with people, because if some shit is uncomfortable, it's just uncomfortable. That's all I'm saying. And you can't be looking at people weird just because I do shit like that. I don't care. When I'm at the restaurant, I need my hot chocolate with whole milk because it doesn't taste right without milk. I didn't know how hot shit is. Like, because certain places mild is hot, and then hot is extra hot, okay? Especially if you go to like one of them little corner Indian spots that's like mom and pop-ish, and they ain't trying to do all the extras and shit, and they just gonna give you what they make, and you just gonna have to, I've thrown whole dishes of Indian food away because I could only eat like maybe a few bites before my stomach was burning. And I felt like I was like just in hell. And that was before I knew that I had indigestion, that I had what is it? Heartburn or whatever the fuck. That was before I knew, so I didn't know what was happening. I just was like, oh, I guess, your body changes, and then food that is hot makes your stomach, not just your tongue burn, it makes your stomach burn too. What the fuck was happening? I didn't know that was heartburn. I kept seeing commercials and shit about it, but I was just like, look at them old people with heartburn. Your heart just start burning when you old. I didn't know it had anything to do with your stomach. I just felt like, oh, your heart just starts burning when you're old, and that's what happens. So yeah, he get the burrito. He eat the one that ain't hot. And he's just walking through the park with all the white people in the background and all the other people of color in the background, and they just like, it's like a real live world with real people that look like everybody else in the world, and it's so magical. I just kept looking in the background at the people. I was like, look at them. They've got Asian people and Middle Eastern and South Asian and East Asian and white and black and all them people in the back. No, because if you're watching movies, it's mostly white folks in the background with a sprinkle or two of blacks, maybe. Or maybe an Asian in the distance, so you can't tell. So it was just so magical. Everyone needs to watch this movie. So anyways, they in the park, they chilling, they talking, and like she asked him, that's what it was. It wasn't he asked her. She asked him what was the point where he knew that him and his girl, there was some shit going on that wasn't right. Maybe not necessarily that he knew it was time to break up, but like something that just told him that they wasn't compatible. So he couldn't think of it off top. So she tells her little thing, and her thing is when they was walking, her and her ex were walking over the bridge, and a boat was coming, like, a little tourist boat, little cruise, the lakes type of situation boat. And he didn't wave at the people waving from the boat. And she was just like, and then he had some snarky shit to say about it. Like, oh, tourism funds sex trafficking. A lot of things fund sex trafficking, sir. I bet the clothes on your back fund sex trafficking, sir. Them little children in the factories making the clothes, they don't just make clothes, sir. That's a part of why it's wrong. It's just, I hate these negative fucking Nancys. They just be everything you say that's happy, they got some negative retort. Like, oh, that's why. That's what her ex was. Basically, he was emotionally abusive. Like, she probably didn't clock it, but the fact that she laid up for like a week in the same sweats in her house and didn't leave her house. Like, grief is one thing, but it's just like, it made her feel something about herself. It made her feel less than about who she is. They didn't break up on no good terms. They broke up on some bullshit, and it made her feel less than, and he's always criticizing her. That is a symptom of emotional abuse. So she's been traumatized, but I like how the trauma stays around the rom-com. The trauma isn't like, oh, I was raped and molested, or oh, racism, or oh, it was just like, no, this is some deep ass fucking shit where it's like, oh, look at all of this extra that made it go from cute to some other shit. And they even, from what I've seen, she seems to have decent enough parents to where she was allowed to, like, because they didn't do that many flashbacks to her parents, but she seemed to have decent enough parents where she was allowed to be an individual, because she would play dress up, and she played dressed up as Prince when she was a kid, and she was doing all, so, self-expression. So that's a sign that kids, are growing up in like pretty decent, wholesome households. And then as they're walking, like, he remembers the point where he realized it. So basically, he had been with his girl for a while. He'd been with her for 6 years, y'all. And I'm just like, that's almost a decade of life. No, nigga, because I had almost a decade of life taken from me and shit, nigga. No. Never again. No, because as someone with a vagina and ovaries and a womb that wants to have children, you can't be letting these niggas take decades off of you, because early menopause is a thing. And like, you know, you just more liable to have kids with issues and shit that like you wasn't prepared to deal with or whatever the older you get. And it's just like, I don't mind having them type of kids, but I would like to avoid it if I could, you know, because that's extra stress and extra stuff and extra worries about them out in the world and all this other stuff and how they gonna live their life and what if I die and who gonna take care. Like, that's a lot of shit. And if I can avoid it, I will. If I can't, well, we just gonna figure it the fuck out then. You know what I mean? But we're not gonna off top be like, I will accept any baby that comes out of me, you know, no matter what. And, you know, like, no, nigga, like, how can we avoid the disabilities that, like, make it so your child can't live in the world properly and wholly without having aches and pains and things like that. You know what I mean? So for me, I would like to avoid it. But if I can't, like I said, I'm gonna accept my child. It is what it is. Like, that's my child. Like, if you got cerebral palsy, nigga, then we got it. Like, shit. That just means I need to be a millionaire just to make sure that you are taken care of forever. You know, it is what it is. Like, no, it's just make me hustle and grind harder. Like, that's my child. I don't know what you thought. Like, my child is going to be happy. My child is going to be successful. My child is going to be comfortable in this world, because that is what I leave as my legacy to my future children. But if I can avoid, you know, the extra disabilities and things like that, you know, that's what I pray for. So, you know, we out here with these vaginas and shit, wanting to have kids and shit, and niggas is just taking their time because they can have babies all the way to the day they fucking die. I was like, okay, so stay away. That's why I have a time limit. People should know within a year of dating you. If you, I mean, some people say 6 months, and I just, for me, 6 months goes by so fast. Like, it's been 6 months, like, since October. Like, that went by fast. And I don't know if I can know you and fall in love with you. Well, I mean, it could happen. Love at first sight, shit happens. But, like, for me, I would just say a year. You need about a year to see. And sometimes people show you before the year is up that you need to get the fuck out of there. So if they're showing you, don't wait a year. Just get the fuck out early, you know. And you need to have discernment and set good boundaries, because these niggas will keep you on a hook for a long time. So this bitch kept him on a hook. So some women do that, non-binary folks do that. Statistically, it's the majority of these niggas that's out here playing these games is dudes, heterosexual cis men. But for this situation, a woman did that to him, just taking his time from him, taking 6 years, girl, stop it. You didn't want to be with this man. You just wanted somebody that you could control. Or maybe you was sitting on it waiting to see if he flipped and turned into some different shit. Like, you just self-sabotaging. No, nigga. Maybe she kind of knew subconsciously, so she cheated because she didn't want to break up with him directly. So she just cheated because she's a coward. You know what? Like, nigga shit. So bitches can do it too. It's just not as common. That's all I'm saying. Don't come on here talking about, well, my girlfriend, you heard what I said is bitches do it too. It's just not as common as men. So anyways, no, because niggas be coming for you. I've just been having people come for me all week, and I'm tired, and it's just exhausting to be came for when you're doing absolutely nothing but your job. And I just, let me shut the fuck up. So anyways, he's talking about the first moment he knew that him and his girl probably were not compatible. He takes her to the place he took her to on their first date. So I'm assuming that they met really young, and, like, you know, 6 years, he's still in his 20s. So they met when he was probably on the cusp of high school, college, or some shit. So he took her to the chicken place, and he bought it out. He rented out the chicken place so no one else could come in there. So he spent some money still. Like, even though it's a chicken place, he spent some money still. You can't just, like, the place wasn't closed yet. The nigga was... He spent some shit because he wanted it to be nostalgic. He wanted it to be cute. And that's cute for somebody that's been together for a minute. Like to go back to the place where you had your first date and nigga buy the place out so that you can sit up in there and have chicken and stuff. Like I would be like, that's cute. Like even Yaz said, that's fucking cute. Like I've always wanted to have a little chicken spot where I could call it something, something chicken. And he was just laughing and shit. And the girl, they belong together. And so the bitch didn't like it. And the thing is, some guy, I guess he was drunk or some shit, came up to the window while they was sitting at the chicken spot, just knocking on the door like, let me in, I want some chicken. That shit would have been hilarious if I was on it. Oh, like, look. Look. You see this nigga? You see him? You see him? Look at it. Look, he weird. That would have been so entertaining. You got dinner and a show, bitch. Like, what is wrong with you? See, people just be so caught up in their own insecurities that it just is like they can't have fun. They can't just see things as fun. Like that man would have left in a little bit and then y'all could have got back to your dinner. Instead, you want to sit there with a fucking attitude and shit. He can't help that man came up and started knocking on. That shit would have been hilarious. Fucking hilarious. I love it. I love that shit. No, my favorite thing is people watching. And so to have the people come to me for me to watch them without them being able to touch me, nigga, it's a show. They about to watch a show. And so he knew at that point that she was not the one, or they weren't compatible in certain ways. But you know, he tried to keep making it work, but he had a fuck girl. Like she wasn't trying to do all that. She was too caught up in her own insecurities and not believing that he was an actual nice guy or whatever the fuck she was believing and making up in her fucking head like niggas do. And she just cheated on his ass with his friend. And I'm just like, girl, you need to go to therapy. You need to fix yourself. Because when you fix yourself, then things can be fun again and you can be happy again and life can be just... no, because it's like, I hate these just tense, tight, stuck up people. It's just, So then they go and walk to the little bar, and Yaz was like talking to him about like, oh, so you like to do it big, you're a romantic. And he's like, yeah, like I bought some chocolates for her and put her in the bed, but they melted and then she thought I shit myself. I was like, I mean, I would have been looking at the chocolates like, you try it, let's fuck. Like, you know, let's get this sheet off because, you know, we got to put that in the washing machine and put a new sheet on and shit, and let's fuck, let's do this. Because he's trying. Like, something. I don't want to say is wrong with me, but something. I am a different breed of woman and different bitch. Just a different bitch, and it's fine. I love it. I love me. It's magical. I'm magical. Say that to yourself, y'all. I'm magical. Just say it. It feels so good. I'm magical. Yes, because I am. And magical doesn't mean you have to do free labor for people. Magical doesn't mean you have to be this fake strong bitch. Magical, you can just be soft and gentle and wonderful and funny and interesting and adventurous and all the things. Magical can be anything you want it to be, girl, as long as you feel good when you say it. Yes, God. Anyways, this one doesn't snap as good. That's my left. That doesn't do. So anyways, at the bar. And so he's like, so she keep dodging these people who are trying to like schedule the interview with her for the costume designing situation. She keep dodging them. And so like they want to schedule for later in the day, and she was just like, cause she want to stay with him and she want to keep avoiding them. So it's both. It's not just one. She actually does like him. And so like she just hangs up the phone. She doesn't schedule with them. She just hangs with the phone. And so he comes back to the table with the drinks he bought for them. And he's like, they're just talking. And then he's like, well, you didn't tell me how you and your dude broke up. And she doesn't want to tell him at first because, you know, she been through shit. She don't trust him really. Like, he is a nice person. She can see it. But like, even when you can see that somebody is a nice person, I think it's kind of like a combination of you've been told you ain't shit for so long that you kind of feel like you don't deserve it. Like all that shit that nigga said about you, about how you're emotional and overwhelming and upsetting. You think that that's going to scare this nigga off. And so you don't want to like attach to it. You don't want to believe it. Like, no. And then a part of it is probably just like, she's self-sabotaging for the job. You know, she's self-sabotaging because she doesn't think that she's going to get it. And a part of her probably doesn't think that she deserves it, you know. So she's self-sabotaging for both things because she doesn't think she's going to get it. And she also doesn't think that she deserves it, which is so sad. Like, she's so pretty and nice and funny. And she does. You do deserve it, girl. And so he come back to the table with the drinks. And she didn't want to tell him at first, but then she tells him. And she tells him basically it was over a Tribe Called Quest. And it was so amazing. I loved it when they went to the movie theater situation. And he was sitting in the crowd like he was watching a play. And it was a bunch of him just watching like her and her dude on the stage. And so I loved it. It was magical. And so she's telling the story and her Dude are on the stage. And basically what happened is that they broke up over a Tribe Called Quest. She was trying to like get the move set. It had been tense in the relationship. She wanted to do something nice, something romantic. She made some hummus. She was like, let me make him something nice. Let me get him some wine. Maybe this wine will change the pattern that he's had since we started. I'm sure he's drunken wine before, sweetness. Did it change before? But it's okay. I've been there. It's okay. We just be lying to ourselves because we don't want to be alone and shit. It's fine. It's okay. And that makes you wonder, like, did something happen before this relationship to make her like so insecure about herself, or was it just this relationship? I think it could have been just this relationship because he was going hard in the paint on her. Hard in the fucking paint. He was like reading her fill and calling her names and just, the nigga was gross. So she bringing him the hummus, or she coming over to sit next to him and she want to kiss him. He's like, ew. And she's like, oh, that's the hummus. And he's like, you know, I can't think when you are da-da-da and da-da-da. And she was just like, but you can bring me some of that hummus. And Dom was like, you broke up with him right then and there, right? She was like, no, my sorry ass brought him the hummus. And it reminds me of Monique and Precious, you know. He told me to shut the fuck up. So what did you do? I shut the fuck up. Because we all do it when we in toxic relationships and we're scared to be alone. We all do shit like that. People don't realize that most of the shit that women be doing, slicing tires, breaking windows, nigga, was pushed to that place by emotional abuse. Like, niggas do that shit for the majority of this. So, you know, like I said, there's outliers and da-da-da-da. But we're talking about the majority. Niggas do that shit because they think they own you and possess you. So when you're ready to actually leave them, they do like break your windows and do it because they think they stalk you and shit. Show up at every hour because they think they own you. And women do that shit because you done criticized me and cheated on me and maybe even hit me for the last motherfucking time, nigga. I'm about to fuck your shit up. Like, you sitting up in here torturing a bitch. Like, we about to, nigga, woo. And that's how bitches be snapping, because you can't torture somebody and expect them to stay sane enough to leave. Because leaving takes sanity. And when you snap, you're not sane. You are losing it at that point, and you're not thinking clearly. Now, there's some like outliers where it's the women that cause the men to do that, and there's some outliers where the non-binary and the LGBTQs and the situations and stuff like that. But the majority comes from men because patriarchy started all this shit. Rome didn't take over all of Europe for nothing. This shit is ingrained in these niggas' blood. Like, it started with patriarchy and conquering. It turned into racism and conquering other countries because we got tired of fighting ourselves and conquering each other, and we realized we couldn't do that anymore. So then we wanted to conquer everything else because we are unsettled in ourselves, and we can't just be happy with the continent that we own, you know, because we're not happy with ourselves. So we strive for more and more power, and then, you know, until we peter out or somebody kills us or some shit or like whatever. So that's why I talk about mainly men in this situation, because they started that shit and other people copied that shit. because it's become a cultural phenomenon. So, anyways, she bought that nigga the hummus. Girl, I was thinking about the shit that I did. Like, I can't even say it on here because that's a little too embarrassing. The shit you just be, and then you look back and you like, who was that bitch? Who the fuck was that bitch? You did that? You allowed that nigga to say that to you, bitch? What's going on? This is not okay. And you just start trying not to think about those memories because they're very cringy and, but you needed that bitch to go through them things. Nobody has to go through trauma to learn things. But if you have maladaptive behaviors and you're not aware of them, or you just keep doing them because you're just stuck to the trauma that you're in, you will continue to do those maladaptive behaviors until something really bad happens or you learn something. So, yeah, I needed, because I wasn't going to stop chasing these fuck niggas and shit. I wasn't going to stop. So I needed something really, really bad to happen. Like, I didn't even consider therapy. The only time I went to therapy when I was in that fucked up relationship was because I thought it would help the relationship. Who was that bitch? I know myself. I know myself enough. So people can come on here and be like, well, you could have figured it out. You didn't need the traumas to do. Like, it had to get so hot for me to wake the fuck up. Like, something had to happen. Cause that's just the type of bitch I am. Like, some people are just, something had to happen for me to realize that, oh, this is really bad. This is really, I was in a fall, because the thing is, for most of that shit, you disassociate. So that's a part of why you don't think to get help. Because you're disassociating most of the time, and then the other parts of the time, you're riding through the honeymoon period. Like, yes, be nice to me for like a couple days, bitch. This feels good. And then something bad happens and you disassociate again. It's over. Like, so it's hard when you're disassociating during the bad times to think of getting help. So the bad times has to be so bad that it shakes you out that disassociation, and you just like, oh, and you just look up and you just like, what the fuck did I let happen to my life? What is this? Who's this? Who am I? So yeah, there's like a psychological reason why some people just have to low-key learn from the trauma they experience, because they're not going to stop, and they're not going to think to stop chasing after toxic things or doing toxic things to others until something bad enough happens to shake them out of that shit. It is what it is. Most people don't. Some people can just watch the Lifetime channel and watch the movies on there and be like, oh no, I would never let a man talk to me. Like, yes, girl, that's right. Be that way. Some people just have really good parents that, teach them well and give them independence, and, they have a mother and a father, or they have 2-parent households, so that they're not just like seeing their 1-parent household struggle and wade through things and stuff like that, because that can be triggering for kids to watch their parents just be by themselves raising them and then struggling and shit while they're raising them. It doesn't mean that their parents doesn't love them and they're not good parents. It just means that you see the bags under your mom's eyes. You see how, like, she can't do as much things. You see how depressed and overwhelmed she gets when, like, life just hits her in the fucking face. So it's like, as a kid, you don't fucking know why that's happening. But as you get older, you start to realize, and you're just like, it's just an existential crisis when you're dealing with that. Now, some people have single parent households that don't struggle or suffer or do nothing. They got money. They planned out their children. They we go on vacations. We have a good time. Like, occasionally shit happen, but we having a good time. You and me, little man, little girl, little non-binary situation. And like, it is what it is. But like, for some people, that's not the case. For some people, even though they have a good parent, single parents can be overwhelming to experience because they're so tired and overwhelmed, and you can't hide that shit all the time. So anyways, they was sitting up in the living room, and this bitch was like, yes, I'm gonna give you the hummus. I gave him the hummus, and she gives him the hummus, and then she just has the bright idea, like, maybe if I give him a blowjob, he'll be nice to me. Like, girl, I know, honey bunch oats sweetness. She puts on a Tribe Called Quest before she gives him a blowjob, and she gets on her knees and she starts giving him blow. No. She puts on a Tribe Called Quest. He tells her to turn that shit off. I was with Dom. I was like, you saying that about Tribe? No, like, what's wrong with you? And then she's like, well, he doesn't want to listen to music. Maybe if I give him just thinking of things to try to make this nigga be happy. Bitch, that's what I'm talking about. Like, your mind is preoccupied with how can I make this toxic person happy. You're not thinking about your own life. Your joy is in making this man happy, because when they're happy, you feel good inside, and that depression and questioning and anxiety and shit goes away for a little bit. That's how like trauma becomes an addiction and shit. So that's why people have to experience it until they hit a breaking point, until they stop touching the stove, and it's not their fault. So let's get into that, because I don't want y'all niggas to be like, you're saying this people's. No, it's not their fault, because it's not a stove, it's a tiger. And the tiger is looking for somebody that's bleeding. You're bleeding, you see the tiger come towards you. The tiger is planning to eat you. The tiger knows it's going to eat you. Reach out to touch and pet the tiger. And the tiger eats you. But in this situation, the tiger eats you over and over and over again. And it is what it is. And the thing is like, the tiger was looking for you. So even if you didn't pet it, the tiger would have kept trying and would have kept wearing you down, just taking little niblets here and there so that's why it's not your fault. But the only defense we have against it is to recognize the tiger when we see it and get the fuck away from that shit. That's the only defense. Like, these people are going to just be out here in the world doing this shit because that's the other flip side of trauma, is to lash out and hurt people. And I don't think people are going to stop being traumatized in the world. So, because white supremacy, yes. So, since people aren't going to be stop being traumatized in the world because of white supremacy, we have to protect ourselves from those people as best we can by recognizing who they are and getting the fuck away from them before they destroy our lives. Because once they get in, they're not going to leave. Like, even when you leave, that's why the phrase no contact exists. Because even when you leave, the tiger's still trying to eat, nigga. Like, so basically, you have to cut that nigga off. You have to block him. You have to change your cell phone number. You got to move. You got to do a bunch of shit, because the tiger won't leave you the fuck alone. Because the tiger wants to pull you back to that place where you were bleeding and shit. Because then they can just like eat you like in little pieces and keep you over time, like veal, just be laying there. Like, they don't let the little baby cows play and shit, just be so their muscles can get all atrophied and weird and shit, so that's so horrible. Veal doesn't really taste that good to me, but I do eat some steak though. Kobe beef is life, nigga. It is. Like, if you ain't been to Japan and you ain't had that Kobe beef, nigga, I don't know what the fuck they do to them cows out there. Them motherfuckers is excellent. It's like a whole palate cleanser. Like, it's like one time I had it, and then like afterwards, later in the day, I had like a burger and shit. That shit was so nasty. It felt like disgustingness. Like, I couldn't drink anything except for water. That shit is a whole palate cleanser. But anyway, so yeah, the tiger is gonna keep coming. That's why it's not your fault. But it's like, these niggas is out here, so like unless you tighten that shit up, like they just gonna keep coming because you bleeding everywhere. You know, they don't see the blood. Like they don't mess with bitches that keep putting up boundaries and shit and call the police. They leave them bitches alone because they don't want to deal with the police. That's how deep you gotta be with this shit, nigga. So, you know, she getting this nigga head. Girl, baby girl. And this shit gonna be like an hour or some shit because this was a good ass movie. And she getting this nigga head. And this nigga gonna say some stupid shit like, oh, you know how rap music contributes to violence and and I'm like, white people contribute having no gun control laws contribute to violence, sweetness, honey bunch, sugar pie, plums, you know, candy cakes. No, that's what's contributing to the violence. But go off, sis. And she said she got up and she poured the hummus in his lap. And she was like, I learned that if you make the hummus, you get the head. I was like, okay, bitch, whatever, girl. Go off, sis. No, you'll know why I said that in a little bit. Okay, girl. He was like, yes, you're iconic, bitch. And I was like, I wish a nigga would call me iconic, bitch. I know I am, nigga. That's right, nigga. That's fuck. Shut up. And so she's like, so what can I do for you? Like, cause she left the vinyl there. She left her Tribe Called Quest thing there. And so he was like, what can I do for you? How can I da. And she was like, I want my vinyl back. And so they was gonna go break into his house, but he changed the locks, right? So they go to his mama's house. And his family loves her, of course, you know, just vibing. They love the fuck out of her. And so they go in his house, in their house. This nigga, so she looking through the house looking for the vinyl, right? So this nigga's sitting outside, like with the uncles. And this one uncle sitting next to him. So this one uncle sitting next to him. And he's like, oh, it looked like you got a good taste in music. Because he's sitting up there pretending like he know, like whatever that music, Afro beats and Jamaican music and all this other shit. Shut up, leave me alone. I'm not an Afro beats person. I don't know. I think it's just like I've never gotten into shit that was like dun, 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 dun. I've never gotten into shit. I don't know. Like I had to find, if you can give me some good artists to like try, I'll listen to it. But I never like, people be recommending Afro beats and I be sitting there trying to listen to it. I'll just be like, this is a vibe, you know, but like, I don't know. It's not hitting. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm listening to the wrong artist or whatever. I don't remember the names. No, we're not doing that. Because I already said I don't like Afro beats. Like, you ain't gonna have, and then the fans of the niggas I talked about. So, I'm like, no, nigga, we not doing that. But like, shit, recommend me some shit. I'll listen to it. Anyways, so he's sitting there like acting like he know all this shit. And so the uncle take his phone and put his phone on the Bluetooth and then shuffle through his music, and this nigga listening to like, you know, like some like soft rock and shit and some like shit like some pop and shit like that. And then there's one song I'm on like, say your name across my heart, I want you to be my baby. This nigga's uncle gets up, the other uncle, and he's standing there like, I think he's like trying to mac with the girl sitting next to him. I don't know if that's his girlfriend, wife, or if it's just somebody that's a stranger that came to visit for the little cookout situation. But he's standing there singing this song to her, and then when he gets done, like, he's just looking at her with his hand out, and she's just like, and he was just like, oh well, okay. So like, this nigga goes in the house, and because the uncle that was sitting next to him is telling him that, like, because they're looking for the key to the ex's apartment situation. So this nigga goes in the house because the uncle said that the mom keeps the key in her treasure drawer or some shit. He go upstairs, the drawer is full of like panties and sex toys and all this other shit. So he's sitting there just looking at it. He was about to dig through the drawer, and I was like, nigga, obviously you see this is not a key drawer. Close the fucking drawer. And then the bitch coming out, what's her name? Yaz. And she talking to her like, she talking to the ex's mom and shit. And they want her to get back with the ex, and she's like, I ain't get back with that nigga, he's crazy. Like, he's a narcissist. Like, we're not doing that. Um, and they're just like, oh, but you were so cute together. And, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, we're not doing that. And they were like, oh, you must have found somebody new. Is it the guy upstairs? She's like, no, it's not him. I don't even like him. It's just a pity thing. And I was just like, So he goes, oh, he makes a noise, and they go run upstairs, and they see him in the panty drawer, and then here comes the uncle that told him to look in the panty drawer right behind him, looking like he's just like, oh, you in trouble. Like, I was just like, nigga, you ain't shit. And so they like, what are you doing? And he was just like, I was just looking for the key. And they were like, what key? And then they get outside the house, him and Yaz, and they walking away, and the mom is like, the neighbor who waters the plants for her ex has a spare key. So if she asks the neighbor, and so she gives her scooter situation. They really love her. She just gave her her scooter situation. And they ride over to the place where the neighbor is. So the neighbor's at this club situation. And the neighbor's at this club situation, and the neighbor is like feeling the type of way about Yaz asking for the key. So the neighbor says that they have to do karaoke together, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that is so cute. So they up there doing karaoke. So no, the neighbor says Yaz has to do the karaoke, and so they get up to the stage, and Yaz gets scared. She gets anxious, and so this nigga shows out, and he says, okay, I'll do it for you. Like, he just, it's just so magical. Girl, out of his box, out of his cage. Just bringing him out, girl. Bringing him out. It was magical. And so he gets up on the stage. He started rapping. He's not the greatest. He's not the greatest. It's just he was nervous and shit, so he kept hesitating. And it sounded all like monotone and weird and shit. And so she see this nigga is embarrassed, but he's still doing it. Like, he still goes go through the whole song. Everybody booing at him. So she get up on stage and they start rapping. It was rapping together. It was like, and it was so magical. And I was like, yes, nigga. It's so like, it was like an adrenaline rush for them. So when they got off the stage, like, it was the first kiss, nigga. It was amazing. It was magical, so beautiful. They went into the bathroom, they kept kissing. This movie is magical. And so then they leave, and they just on this adrenaline high, and they get to the ex's house. And like, she going through the stuff because the ex got a new girl and shit. And she get the girl's moon cup, and I was just like, why are you touching it? She like picked it up. But they got the audacity to put it in the food in the refrigerator. But like, you touched it with your hands like it wasn't dirty, but you're putting it in the food like it is dirty. Like, I'm confused. Because you touched it with your hands like it wasn't dirty, but then you put it in the food like it was dirty. So like, are we washing our hands after touching the moon cup? Are we? No, because I was watching that movie y'all recommended, like that one girl recommended, and I just, the whole blood situation and the period, and you know that what was it, the run, sweetheart, run? Like, no, because y'all out here doing too much. She could have washed her hands at least. I just feel like in my whole entire spirit that if they just had put a scene with her washing her hands, we would not be having this conversation. I would have been like, oh yeah, she touched her moon cup and put it in the girl food and shit, but then she washed her hands, so it was fine. That's what I'm. Whatever. It's not as bad as that movie, so we're fine. It was clean, like you wash it and shit, but still, like, some people put them things in the dishwasher, and I just feel like the dishwasher doesn't get things 100% clean. Like, I saw this meme and somebody had put their toilet seat in the dishwasher, and I was just like, the dishwasher, there's boo-boo crumbs and feces. Oh god. The dishwasher does not get things 100% clean. I'm just So she's going through the girl's thing. She's upset the girl wears thongs. She puts thongs on over her pants, shit like that. And then, like, they looking for the vinyls, and then the dude and his girl come home, but she thought he was out of the country, but he came home and shit. So they in an apartment talking about nothing. And then I guess the girl like dropped something or kicked the bottle and made a noise, so the dude hurt her. So she came out from behind the thing, and then this nigga went in, and I was just like, ew, so disgusting, so gross, so nasty. He went in on her. Like, he saw that she was with Dom, and he was like, are you with her? And Dom was just trying to be chill. He was just like, just give her vinyl. She just wants her vinyl and we'll leave. Like, just be chill. Like, this nigga was like, no, she's despicable. She's a bog. She's evil and a horrible bitch. I was just like, the fuck is wrong with this nigga? He said, she'll ruin your life and destroy everything. And she just standing over here like, no, I did everything you wanted to do. We only went to art shows and shit. What are you talking about? She's just like so upset and confused. Like, what is this nigga talking about? We just went to all his art shows and I did everything he wanted to do. Like, we couldn't even do nothing fun. Like, I wanted to go to the theme park and shit. Like, this nigga was like, no, that's for children. Like, nigga, okay. I wish a nigga would tell me I could. Why are you telling me what to do? That's exactly what I was just looking at me like, why are you telling me what to do? Why did you think that you could tell me I couldn't do something? Why did you feel that I would listen to you? Where did that come from? I'm genuinely confused. Like, why did you think that? I mean, are you breaking up with me? Is that what this is? No, because I feel like, so to me that translates into you're breaking up with me. I mean, like, if you want to end things, like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna wear what the fuck I want. You're not gonna tell me what to fucking wear, nigga. You're not gonna tell me what to fucking eat, nigga. You're gonna tell me how to talk, how to walk, how to act. Nigga, what? So no, I just no. This nigga was up in her face, and I was just like, punch this motherfucker in the mouth, and Dom was just standing there, and I wish Dom had went on him. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I just feel like that was like, he's a really nice guy. He used his words. He, tried to say something. He did, like, but no, nigga, get up in this nigga's face. I want to feel protected. I just feel like Dom wasn't trying to fight nobody. Like, she had to do all of that. I didn't vibe with that piece. Everything else is beautiful, lovely, romantic. But nigga, if you don't get up in this nigga face and protect me, like, you just gonna let him say these evil things? Like, what? You already broke into somebody else for me. Like, you might as well fight a nigga for me. Like, this nigga is in my face. Are you not gonna do anything? And that's what I mean. Like, you gotta have a little bit more like a little bit like, yeah. You gotta have a little bit of that. I can't. I can't. Like, I was looking at Dom like, what? You not gonna jump in this nigga face? Like, I gotta say shit like, well, damn, are we breaking up? Is that what that means? Are you breaking up with me? Oh my gosh. Why would you? I guess it's unhealthy. I don't know. I like what I like. I like what I like. I like it what I like it thing and shop. So anyways, they leave. Like, Dom talks his way out of, like, whatever, and the nigga slaps him in the face at one point, but like, he didn't fight back, so he's not a fighter. He's not a fighter. What? You leave me the fuck alone. I wouldn't feel protected, nigga. Like, I've had full ass niggas grab my ass and nigga I would do nothing. Do nothing. Act like it didn't happen. I'm sitting over there on the verge of a panic attack. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, do I kick this nigga in the balls in front of everybody? Like, do I defend myself? Like, no, like, you need to do something. You need to do something, sir. I don't care. So anyways, they leave, and then, like, she telling Dom about how, like, nigga said that he broke up with her. So basically he outed her and out of her life from earlier, her little imagination show that she had with Dom and shit. Imagination land. I mean, it's a vibe. We need to figure out ways to deal with, it's toxic. It was. I can't. You set up it, and that nigga, cause no, he bared his soul to this bitch and told her everything that happened with that bitch when they broke up and how he sat in the movie theater crying. He had no shame. This bitch is up here like fancifying a story and shit. Like, this nigga was vulnerable. Like, I would feel a type of way. I would be like, oh, I opened up to you because I thought you was cool people and you wasn't thinking I was cool people. Oh shit. Well, damn, are we breaking up? Are we breaking up? Is that what you're saying? We're breaking up. Like, no, that's what it translates into. So anyways. Shut up, bitch. Oh my gosh. So anyways, he was just like, so you've been lying to me all day and I'll open my heart to you and shit. That shit is embarrassing, man. Just people just using Dom, abusing Dom. He don't need that. He don't deserve that. He's a nice little turtle man. He could fight. He could fight if he wanted to. Like, he could fight a little bit more. But other than that, he's a nice little turtle man. And, he didn't deserve that. Like, you'd have to lie to this nigga. After he opened up and bared his soul on some embarrassing shit. Like, niggas don't be saying they sat in the movie theater and cried. You know how much that takes for a nigga to open up and say some shit like that? Like, no, nigga, like, that wasn't right. See? And she go get mad at him and lash out because she don't want to admit that it's wrong. And she was just like, well, you can't act like you ain't thinking about your ex all the time, but this nigga ain't breaking into her house, bitch. This nigga ain't breaking into his parents' home and then breaking into his home. This nigga just had a healthy lunch with his ex to talk things out and seal the deal and just squash shit and separate. You literally broke into people's homes, bitch. So there's some mental health things here that she needs to heal from that trauma, whether it was her ex that caused it or whoever else that may have added to it. She needs to heal from that because you a good nigga here. Like, he could learn to fight, and I would do things like, what I would do, because you don't want to make it seem like you're like saying he has a deficiency, because that's emotional abuse and shit. So what you do is like, you join a martial arts. And then, like, you just make that shit look fun. You just like, this is fun. Oh my gosh, I made so many friends. It's so great. It's so wonderful. And then, like, once or twice a month, you ask him, like, hey, you want to try it? Like, it's cool. Like, it's like in casual conversation. So it seems like it's subliminal and shit. Like, oh, look, you watching a movie and they doing martial arts and shit. Oh, look, we did that in class and shit. Man, that shit was bomb as fuck. Like, you should come. It was cool. And then you keep talking about some other shit. You don't stop there. You don't be like, you should come and it was cool. And you be like, yeah, look how his leg, that's what my teacher did and shit. Wow, that's cool. Wow. And then you just watching a movie. I'm diabolical. Because if you want them to do it, you have to do it first. So that's like if you want to put in the work. I'm not. I know, you need to come with it. Like, I need to know you can fight. I need to be defended. I am a damsel. I am a lady. Okay? And I need to be defended. So, so he's a sweet man and she's letting him go. And, that little fighting situation can be fixed. There are classes we can take and do and be, couple fighters. But you take the lead. Yes, you get the black belt before me. You protect me, bitch. And I'll just know the basic purple belt situation, boom, choke a nigga, the shit that'll get me out of a situation if I'm by myself. Yes, God, I don't care. Yes, it may seem traditional, but I don't give a motherfucker. It makes me feel good inside. That's the shit that makes you feel aroused. I'm not giving up the shit that makes me feel aroused. I'm just gonna wait for the person that'll give it to me. Yes, Lord. Anyways, oh my God, I'm gonna post this too. I'm a whole ass fucking therapist. Well, it is what it is, y'all. Shit, it's the truth. I don't care. Shit. That'd be my motherfucking birthday. I could say what the fuck I was. I've not had a great week. I'm not. Shit keeps happening. I don't know if it means like we're just like releasing some extra so we can have a great birthday situation, or if it means like this is the precursor to some big ass bullshit. Like, cause Lord, I just niggas just been coming for me and I'm tired. So anyways, she get mad at this nigga, and I'm just like, you got you a good nigga here. He likes to adventure. Like, today was a whole ass video game. We was trying different foods and going to different pretty places and looking at different people and sitting with family and watching their dynamic and how they weird and shit. And we was riding mopeds and doing like the whole day was a fucking video game. Chef's kiss. She gave you, like, he gave you that. He was like, he went with you on that. Y'all had a whole adventure. Like, like how much I would like just, nigga, girl, get your shit together. So like she basically says some mean shit and is like, well, maybe we should go find a bathroom so you can cry in. And this nigga was just like, oh. So he gives her vinyl and walks off. And then like they just not talking for like a little bit. And during that time, I love this progression. During that time, they healing and shit. He moved out of his family's home, and his parents are the cutest. His mom the most. Like, this kind of mama's boy I don't mind, because his mom is like the sweetest woman in the whole wide world. I would give anything to protect this woman. Like, she played this part so well. Just her whole energy was, I'm the sweet little person that loves my child and just wants him to be happy. This is sweetest woman. He was like, I'm kind of a mama's boy, and she like always makes me like some kind of egg and some soldiers. I don't know what that is. And I didn't Google it before. I'll probably Google it after. I don't know. And she always makes me egg and soldiers and da-da-da. She always want to make sure I'm eating, and she always trying to, I was just like, she's so sweet. Look at her. When he moved out, she wasn't acting hysterical or anything. She just gave him his little tin of egg and soldiers. He's like, Mom, I'm an adult. Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh. That was so cute. I don't care. And so he moves out of his family home and finds his own situation to live in, and his little dopey friend is with him. So they still friends, because you can't hate that nigga. Like, he's not malicious. He's just malleable. Very malleable. And so people like that will just fall into shit. And I hope that girl's not like abusing him or some shit, because like she seemed very controlling. Like, he wanted some more lamb and she was like, no. And I was like, bitch, why are you yelling at this man like that? He didn't do nothing. Like, ew. So like, he gets his shit together, and then she gets a job as a costume designer, and they just can't stop thinking about each other. They were going on dates, and this is how I know that awkward people and blurs are the rulers of the world, because like they was going on dates with people that you could just tell that they had like insecurities, or they were just weird, like compared to like Dom and Yaz. Like, Yaz went on a date with this dude that was just sitting there posing in the chair the whole time, and then sniffing his wine and just like putting on a caricature. And Yaz just sitting there chilling. Like, are you gonna say things? Are we gonna And then Dom went out with this one girl, and he was just drinking beer. He was just chilling. And she gets like this glass of wine, and she just keep commenting about his beer. Like, oh, you got, this wine is amazing. And he was like, oh yeah, no, I have a beer tonight. And she was like, oh, I see. Okay, well, I was like, okay, girl. I mean, you seem to be at a nice situation here. Like, if he drinks a beer, like, what's the fuck? I'm not an alcohol person. I don't know. Like, I don't really care about optics and shit like that in them type of situations. I'm just like, as long as I'm dressed nice. Like, I mean, I'll sit up there and order a Shirley Temple and shit if I don't want to drink. Like, so I'm just looking at her like, oh, It's just people just like be putting on these masks and just be acting insecure and shit, and then they just put on these like caricatures and shit, and it's just weird when you're around them because like if you're like a really blunt and chill person and you don't really think to like do anything to hurt people, you just are chilling and stuff, they like get like insecure about that shit because like they can't believe that you're genuinely a nice person and you just like chilling and shit, and so they start putting on these caricatures to see if they can break you. And it's really uncomfortable, and I can feel when it starts to happen, and that's why like I just be like cool on certain people because I just want to sit here and not have to guess at what you're trying to say. I just want to sit here and not have to do brain Olympics about your intentions. Cause you don't have to do that with me. Like you ask me a question, I'm gonna answer it. Like if I don't like you, I'm gonna say, if I want to be with you, I'm just like it is what it is. If I like you, I'm gonna say it. If I don't, I'm just gonna be like, I don't know what to tell you, sir. You know, there's other fish in the sea. You know, I mean, I know I'm magical and fantabulous, but you know, like it's I don't feel that. Ew, no. Might let an ill slip out, like not even thinking about it, just happened. You know, and so like don't be the type of person that people got to do brain Olympics around you because it's fucking exhausting, and then you're going to start wondering like, why doesn't anyone want to be around me? Oh. Because people have to think too hard when they're around you, and most of the time people just want to chill and like chill. So anyways, they grow and they change and they evolve, and then lo and behold, his friend is having another opening, and there's ass cheeks on the wall, ass cheeks everywhere, some old wrinkly ass cheeks with some balls poking through. It was a lot. That was the only part that was a lot. I was why does it look like leather? Is that how we age? Is my ass just gonna look? Maybe I live to be like 100. Like I want to live to be old, but like oof. And then it's like the skin does it, so it's like even if you get like implants or Brazilian or whatever, your skin still starts to sag. You get that saggy old people skin and shit, nigga. Like I don't. So anyways, this bitch keep talking about him to the people that she working with, the people that she costume designing for, and then one of the bitches got tired of her talking about him, so she was like, why don't you go talk to him, because you keep talking to us about it and we're tired of you talking to us about it. And she's like, I don't keep talking to you about it. She's like, yes you do, all the time, 24/7, bitch, shut the fuck up. And so she thinks about it, and she realized that she's been talking about this nigga to everybody that she knows for like 6 months and shit. And so she decides to go to the opening too, or not go to, but like, so he's at the opening and he's looking for her, and her little white friend comes up and she's like, just being weird. She was like, that's my ass over there. You want to look at it? Just look at it. It'll make you feel better. You know, because she didn't come, so if you look at my ass, she'll feel better. And I was just like, and then she goes and tells somebody, like, she really wants people to look at her ass. I don't know what's going on. Just putting white people in these awkward positions like they do black folks, and it's like magical. Like when he was on the bus going home after she dissed him and shit, like there was this white dude that got on the bus and was like, woo, night bus, looking at him and shit. And it's like that shit happen in rom-coms. They be on the bus and they riding the bus away from their love after they break up in the middle of the shit, and like then a bunch of niggas get on. I'm just remembering multiple repressed memories of those types of scenes, and they're just forlornly looking out the window while this group of niggas is in the back of the bus screaming and yelling and shit. Wait. Oh God. So it's like they putting these white people in these awkward positions where like they usually would put black folks in white rom-coms. It's magical and it's lovely and I love it. It's magical. And so it's like the same with her friend. She's just like this weird white woman. She's weird. I mean, like, you just like it there, like being weird. Can't say nothing else. So she calls him. Yaz calls him. And she calls him to apologize because she was a dick. And she tells him to come to the window, and she's on the boat. And he sees the boat, but I don't think it's registered that she's on it. And the people on the boat are waving, and she's just and he just waves. And she's like, I knew you were a boat waver. And I was like, oh, like, that's okay. And so she was like, can you come meet me where the boat docks? And he was like, he looks across to see where the boat's gonna dock. And this nigga runs across a bridge for this hoe. You seen them rom-coms. You seen them rom-coms with them white motherfuckers running through the rain for a bitch. Running across bridges for a bitch. Running down the street for a bitch. Running through the airport for a bitch. This nigga ran across a bridge for this bitch. It was magical. I'm gonna run across the bridge, bitch, too. I don't care. I don't want you to run across the bridge to me, too. It was beautiful. I don't care. And he runs across the bridge and he meets her. Like, this nigga was sprinting, nigga. Like, he was just so happy. Like, he was just, cause like when they were broken up, like he was sitting in his room all day playing video games and shit. And she was like just chilling, and they was trying to go on dates, and they was just like miserable and shit without each other. And they was trying to like be in denial about it and shit. I think he realized, because when he was at the little gallery showing with all the asses and shit everywhere. his homeboy was standing there with his ex, and he was like, oh, you and Yaz didn't come. Like, his ex was like, I thought you both look good together and you seem like you would go well together. And he was like, yeah, I guess she's not ready yet. And he was like, was this nigga waiting? Was this nigga waiting on her? Was this nigga waiting on her? Like, was he like, oh no, like, this is mine. Like, I've been knowing this was mine. She'll be ready. Like, I'm just like, I mean, maybe not waiting where he would stay single forever, but like low key waiting. Like, magical. So he ran across the bridge and shit, and then they kissed. It was so cute because she was like getting all nervous and shit. Like, I love how it's just like so cutesy. It's like these two dark skinned black people. It's so cutesy and it's magical. And then the movie's over, and it's so good. It was so good. It was so, like, I've watched it like multiple times. It was so, like, the first time I watched it, I cried. It was like, that is so magical. It was so magical. And like, I don't know, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, earlier when he heard whatchamacallit upstairs, like he heard like the mom, and then he heard her say that, oh, I just feel sorry for him because he was like crying in the bathroom. When he confronted her when they were outside, I like this because usually in rom-coms this would be the point where they break up over some stupid shit that they could have just communicated. And so when he confronted her and she told him, like, you know, she didn't mean that. And then she told him about her job and how she's been avoiding her job all day and shit like that. And like how she really enjoys spending time with him and stuff on top of it. And then how she feels like this sense of like, cause it could have gone the way of, oh, she's trying to deflect by talking about her job to make him feel sorry. But no, like she feels a sense of like she's self-sabotaging, like imposter syndrome. Like she's not gonna be able to get to the place that she wants to be. Like she got really vulnerable with it. And that being with him all day has been like the light of her life. And it was just so enjoyable. And like, he really listened to her and understood. Like, he didn't like, oh, but still, like, at the same time, you can still, even though you understand, you can still clock that as a pink flag. Because she has been lying all day. Like, when she came and talked to the girlfriend at the diner, she lied. When she didn't tell him that she saw him crying in the bathroom, that was live omission. When like she told the mom that she like didn't like him and that she just felt sorry for him, and then tried to bring up the story about how she felt bad and was self-sabotaging and shit about her job. Murky lie. So it's like you can still read between the lines and see that there was a pattern, that there's issues, but I think the separating and working on themselves in their own space and time help to rectify those issues. That's why it's such a gray area. Like, people aren't like all the way 100% toxic or all the way 100% positive. There's like these murky areas where maybe somebody has some shit that they need to work on, and then they have the motivation to work on it, and they work on it, and then they become better people, and then, but it also depends on the depths of the bullshit. Like, this was one day where she lied all day, and then it culminated at the end, and then like they took 6 months or whatever to figure themselves out. And like, I think he kind of saw that in her, that she's genuinely a good person. She's been hurt really bad, and so she's making poor decisions, but she does really like him and shit like that. That's why he said that shit about waiting on her and shit. But like, there's levels to that shit. Like, if people are criticizing you constantly on the first date, if they're limiting you, if they're putting their hands on you, obviously, if you feel self-conscious multiple times throughout the first date, and it's not coming from you, it's coming from them, things that they're saying or they're doing to make you feel self-conscious about yourself, it's like shit like that. Like, that's not a pattern where you could be like, oh, we can like break up for like 6 months, and I'm thinking about you and you're thinking about me, and we're working on ourselves and shit. Because 9 times out of 10, them people don't be working on themselves. And so if they're that hurtful like that and they don't care about how it affects you, 9 times out of 10, them people don't be working on themselves. So you may be like waiting in vain and shit, like, or low-key waiting in vain, or whatever the fuck he was doing. So it's murky. Love is like murky. You just have to really be on top of the shit and be paying attention to shit. That's why you can't all or nothing. You got to be able to like give shit chances, but also be aware if the chances are becoming detrimental to your health. That's when shit gets extreme. Like, this is detrimental to my health. So yeah, I can see the pattern, but I can also see that she's a good person, and she was making stupid ass mistakes because she was being impulsive and life was overwhelming her and all this sort of shit. And then that's why they split up. And she had to make it up to him, and she did. And so now you just have to see how it goes. I would like to see a sequel. I would like to see more movies and shows and things like this, just cutesy black people. I want to see black Americans in, like, I was reading this book. It was like this rom-com, this black guy, this black couple, and like, it was like this plus size black woman, and she was like a witch, and she lived in this little town with other magical people, and they were just doing cutesy things. Like, she wanted to open up like a tea shop or a bakery or some shit, and she was a teacher, and she wanted to open up a bakery because she liked to bake and shit, and she used her magic powers to bake and all this other shit, and she had like, and she read tea leaves for people and shit, just some basic cute shit. And then the dude was coming back to town, and he's like a rolling stone and shit, so wherever he lay his head is his home and shit. So he coming back to town to see his family and shit, because they called him back to town, and his family like low-key bought him a house, and he's like a merman. And so like, he's like this black dude that's a merman, so he has like these scales that make him look like not luminescent, like, what's that rainbow shit when you shine like the sun on black stuff? He looks like that. His scales look like that. So he's black, but he has that. And so like, they like low-key was like high school best friends, but low-key had crushes on each other and didn't say nothing. And so now he's back, and like the fates are just slowly drawing them back together in this small cute little town, these magical people doing magical things in this small cute little town, and like, it's just amazing. And so like, I want to see more shit like that. I want to see like what if it like they did a movie like that, and it was like based in Louisiana and shit, so it was like all the hoodoo and shit like that, and like the Orishas and all the other stuff, and it was like all the things, and it was like just in a cute little town with a bakery in doing regular shit. They just use their magic to bake cakes and like, read tea leaves and for the people, and like fall in love with merman. Just cute little shit, like regular people shit, like, but like with a little touch of magic. Just I would love that. But yeah, this was a good ass movie. I suggest it for everybody, and y'all should watch it so that like they can make more like this, and like we can see more things with black people that look like black people and stuff, and falling in love and doing regular shit while they falling in love without all the trauma and the bullshit and stuff like that. It was magical. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Later days.